Hello YouTube, I'm your Huckleberry, and this is the Artisan Falcon. And let's get into some specs. We're looking at 8.5 inches overall with a 3.6 inch blade. We have a 0.15 inch thickness there. This is a D2 blade, D2 steel. That is in a Wharncliffe blade shape there with a flat grind and a stone wash finish. We do have aluminum handles here with carbon fiber inlays, as you can see there, and it is situated for right hand tip up carry. You will notice that clip is a little wonky, and we'll get into that in a little bit during the review. Let's get a weight on this guy with the AccuWeight scale. Let's see what it's going to come in at. And we're looking at right about 6 ounces. So it is a bit chunky. It is a little bit chunky there, coming in at 6 ounces with the 3.6 inch blade. So it's a little heavy guy, but that's okay. Well, not a little guy, but it's a heavy guy, that's for sure. And let's do some size comparisons. Here it is against your standard Benchmade large Griptilian, the 551. And in terms of overall length, it's not too far off. As you can see there, when it's lined up, the Falcon is going to be probably a little bit longer when we get it lined up right there at the back. You can see that the Falcon is going to be a little bit longer. Here it is against a Kershaw leak. And again, it's going to be much, much larger than the leak. Much, much larger, as you can see there. In terms of overall blade length, when we're talking about 3.6 to 3 inches there. So the leak has a 3 inch blade. But in terms of just general size, the leak's going to be much smaller. Here it is against the Spyderco PM2. And that's much closer in terms of overall size and feel. The PM2 is going to be lighter because of the G10 there and the milled out liners, steel liners and everything. But in terms of overall length and size and just kind of feel in hand, because the PM2 does have a little bit chunkier handles, a little bit chunkier in the hand. The Artisan's going to feel that way too. So there's that. How about against a Spyderco Chaparral? Nice little knife from Spyderco there. And again, much, much larger than the Chaparral in terms of weight, in terms of blade length, in terms of overall length, just about in every dimension. The Chaparral is going to be smaller. The Falcon's going to be larger. And how about one more against a Hinder XM18 3.5 inch blade, non-flipper there. And in terms of overall size, feel, weight, and everything, this is going to be the closest comparison out of the ones that I have shown you. This is going to feel the most like the Falcon there. So if you've ever handled an XM18, the 3.5 inch model, the Falcon is going to feel similar, most similar to that from the options that I have there. All right, let's get into some pros and cons. The pros, it looks good. This is a good looking knife. It's what initially drew me to the knife was the looks. I love a good Wharncliffe blade. I think this is a Wharncliffe that has been well done with the flat grind, with a little bit more of a point there. It looks good with the carbon fiber. They also have different versions where you can just get different colored G10 in there as well. And so they do have different options with that. The pivot, depending on how you hold it, can look like a certain symbol that you really don't want it to look like. And I know that's been talked about before in other reviewers' videos about the Artisan. They might want to change that pivot up a little bit just to avoid any confusion. It is a Chinese company, so I mean, but still, not the best. But anyway, overall, it looks good. I love the way that it looks. You know, it was kind of big. It's a nice big Wharncliffe blade. I like that a lot. I like the way that it looks. It's a good looking knife. D2 steel is nice, especially since this is $60. This is a $60, $59.24 is the exact price that I got it for from knifecenter.com. But so, you know, right around the $60 mark. D2 is a perfectly acceptable steel for $60. There's a lot of knives out there that, you know, you'll pay $60 for and still get, you know, HCR 13, MOV, or a AUS 8 or something like that, which D2 to me is superior to those. I like D2 a lot, so I think that's good. You're getting carbon fiber too. Now, granted, just inlays for $60, but you know, that's not a bad looking carbon fiber. It's not the cheapest looking carbon fiber that I've ever seen for $60. So that's not bad, I don't think. I like the carbon fiber there on that. I think it looks good. The finishing on it is nice. You can see that all these edges are chamfered nicely. No real hot spots in the hand. Here it is in my size extra large hands, by the way, so that you can get an idea of that. It fits very, very well. It feels good. The ergonomics are pretty nice on it. It feels good in the hand. Like I said, no hot spots, no sharp corners. The finishing is good. The price is good at $60. I always like kind of the lanyard hole like this, where it's kind of integrated into the backspacer. A lot of the Chinese companies are starting to do that. Artisan, Real Steel, Steel Wheel, they've kind of started doing that, where they integrate that lanyard hole into the backspacer, which I always appreciate because it keeps it out of the way of the clip. You don't sacrifice clip positioning for a lanyard hole. And so you have the option of a lanyard hole, but it's out of the way if you don't care about a lanyard hole. So I like that positioning as well. And for $60, I think you're getting quite a bit there. Deep carry pocket clip, I also like. But let's get into the cons. And there are some cons here. This is my first experience with Artisan knives, by the way. I've heard really good things about them. But the cons to me, I'll just go ahead and say it kind of right here. The cons to me outweigh the good, and let's get into those cons. One, it's a gritty action. The action came, it was gritty, it's not very smooth, it doesn't feel great. The detent is good. The detent is good. I really can't get it to fail, so it does have a good detent, but the action just feels gritty. It is running on bearings, by the way. This is a knife that runs on bearings. But the action is just, it's gritty. It doesn't feel good. You can kind of hear, I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Let me be quiet. But it doesn't feel good. The action doesn't feel smooth. And, you know, of course, I can get in here and clean it up and all that and probably smooth that out some. But, you know, out of box, the action was gritty with those bearings, which hasn't really been my experience with the other Chinese brands in this kind of price bracket. Like I said, Civivi, Steel Wheel, Real Steel. I haven't really come across a gritty action. Where I usually find the gritty actions are in like the CRKTs, the Kershaws, those that are made in China a lot of times will come with a gritty action out of box that you have to take apart and clean up. And this one definitely had that gritty action as well. It is hard to access the lock bar with my fat thumbs. That may be a fat thumb problem, but it's definitely hard for me to access that lock bar. You can see there's not a lot of clearance there when you're looking at it like this to get your thumb in there. There's absolutely no jimping or anything on the lock bar. Makes it hard to access. Don't like that. It is heavy. I mean, you saw it, 6 ounces for a 3.6 inch blade, a 6-ounce knife. It's heavy. This guy is just begging for, look at how thick those slabs of aluminum are. It is begging for some internal milling. It has none. And boy, could it use some to lighten this guy up. I know it has I can't imagine what it'd be like without these inlays here, which, you know what, the inlays aren't really flush, so I don't know how much aluminum, they're kind of proud of the scales there. So I don't know how much aluminum they actually took out and I actually don't even think that's called an inlay when it's like that. It may be more of an overlay. But anyway, in any case, man, does this need some more milling, because it's heavy and you feel it. It feels like, and some people like that. So, it may not be a problem for some, but for me, it's just, in weight is not something, if the ergonomics and everything else is good, it has to be a pretty heavy knife in order for me to think about the weight of it. It's heavy. It needs some milling in the worst way. I talked about the clip and how it may look a little wonky, and that's because for the first time, and I've been carrying knives, every day for, probably 8 or 9 years now in my life. And for the first time, I had a pocket knife clip. I've had light clips and other clips bend out on me before. I'd never had a pocket knife clip bend out on me until this one. And this guy bent out on me. It caught, and that's because this guy, look at how much that sticks up. The tail of that clip there just sticks up entirely too much. It caught on the edge of something. I don't even remember what it was. I was just walking. I think I was walking around a countertop, and it just kind of caught there, and it bent out. It bent out easily. That's because right there you can see, those are just thin right there. That's thin metal there. And it bent out easily, and so I had to get, the trusty Leatherman Wingman here and take the clip off and bend it back and do the best that I could. But it's a little wonky now. And so, that's not great. That sticks way too far out there, the tail of that clip. The ramp there is just way too high. And this is just way too thin right here, and it bends out. I would just imagine that's probably an issue with just the design of that overall, that's going to bend out pretty easily if you catch that on something. So that's not great. Speaking of the clip is like the only piece of polished metal on here, and it's weird. You see how it sticks out? Does it stick out to you guys? You can let me know down in the comments if that sticks out. But the blade is stone washed, a nice stone wash. I like the blade. It's a nice stone wash. I guess this is kind of polished too, this part there. But the pivot's not really polished. The aluminum is not really polished. It's also kind of, I guess, it's got, kind of textured or something. It's not polished. And the clip just kind of sticks out to me like a sore thumb because it's polished. And it's really like the only, besides this, which also sticks out, it's like the only piece of polished metal on there. And I do not like that either. So, overall, would I suggest getting the Artisan Falcon? No, I would not. There is some good here. If you just like the design and you don't mind a heavy knife, then sure. Because that's what drew me to it, like I said in the first place, was the design. I love the Wharncliffe blade here. I think it's a nice Wharncliffe blade. But man, it's too heavy. The action's not good. The lock bar is hard to access. Just all the little cons kind of add up to me to where I don't like this knife very much. I'll be honest. I don't like it. I think there's a lot better options for $60. The Civivis have a ton of options. Steel wheel, real steel. I would assume probably even Artisan has better options than this one because I've heard a lot of good things from Artisan. It's just that this, being my first experience, has not been a great one. So, but I'll definitely try an Artisan again because I think there's enough good here that I'm not going to, write the brand off. I definitely want to try some of their different models and see, what their quality is. Because in terms of just overall quality, like I said, it's well finished. The ergos are good and everything. It's just kind of these little things that just kind of add up to me that I'm like, for $60, I think I'd rather spend that on another Civivi or steel wheel or something of that ilk. But anyway, guys, so that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate very, very much that you stopped by to watch this with watch this video that I have made here, this review. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. Write down in the comments what you liked, what you disliked. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time I release a new video. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye.